Teacher Talk Tuesdays with Dr. Yvonne, author of Look Who's Talking and countless other educational materials. This podcast is a safe place for teachers to share their incredible stories, struggles, and triumphs. The educational system as we know it has changed, but no worries, Dr. Yvonne is here to help. Now, here's your host, Dr. Yvonne.
Ooh, hello, everyone. How y'all doing? We are here once again for Teacher Talk Tuesday. Glad you all could join me today. I will be having a guest. Miss Felicia will be coming in soon. Hopefully she'll be coming in and joining us, and we're going to be talking about parental rights. Let me make sure I'm not muted. I'll be doing this. Okay, yeah, I'm not muted. I know I'll be doing stuff and I'll be going. I'm like, muted. So I'm not muted. So hopefully we can get her in. But until she comes in, Miss Felicia is someone that I met since I've been here in Texas. And it was just really good talking to her. You know, I try to talk to everybody when it comes to education and the things that are going on. I love to talk about education because I'm very passionate about what I do. And she was telling me how she used to be in the education field as well, teaching. And she was also, you know, the parent of a student who had special needs. And some things that happened that she had to do and we have to, and I asked her to come on tonight so we could talk about parental rights and understanding what your rights are as far as your children who have 504s and special ed IEPs and all of those things. Because sometimes I don't think parents understand their rights. I always have to take those off because I really can't see that well with them. Parents don't understand their rights, and basically a lot of things that happen in the classroom, a lot of things that happen for their students are not so much the fault of the teacher, but the teacher is the one that gets the bad end of the stick when it comes to things that are not happening, when accommodations are not being made, when students are not getting service the way they need to be getting their services. It always falls back on the teacher. However, you need to understand your rights as a parent, and you need to understand the channels in which you need to go through to get things handled. And it's not always just going to the principal and telling on the teacher because she's not doing something or he's not doing something, but it may be that hasn't been set up by the person who is in charge, which is the person who's over the special ed department or whatever needs to happen. So I'm hoping she would get in here. Let me send her a message and see if she's ready. Now I do need my glasses so I can see my phone. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight and dealing with. So I'm excited about that, to be talking about parental rights, because sometimes I don't think we know our rights. We don't know our rights half the time. Recent. Oh, no, I didn't want to call her. She just entered. Hey. All right. Hey, Miss Felicia, come on in. I think I admitted you to get in. I hit admit. There she go. She coming. Can you hear me? Oh, she's connecting to her audio. All right, y'all. We just gonna give her a minute to get in here. But hey, can you hear me?
Can you see me? Can you hear me and see me?
I can hear you. I can see you.
Okay.
Just giving an intro to everybody and letting them know who was coming on. And I'm like, we got Miss Felicia coming, just letting them know that sometimes dealing with parental rights with students who have special needs, that it's not always for the parent to go straight to the principal and, tell about what the teacher's not doing and what accommodations the teachers are not providing, that we only provide what's given to us. So, I just want them to know that they have an avenue and they have a venue and what I want to say, protocol on the chain of command how that needs to go, because we have so many parents who are, because they want to advocate for their students, which I understand, I get it. And their first stream of contact is the teacher. That's their first point of attack. But we have to understand that it's not always just the teacher. Lord, they go, Kitty. Lord, she just want to be in on everything. It makes it bad for the teacher sometimes, because it makes it hard for the teachers when they're trying to do everything that they can for their student. And, you run into the principal and telling that they're not doing this and they're not doing that, but it's not always the fault of the teacher. And I'm just real when it comes to what I do, and hopefully people don't get offended, but I teach, and I have a lot of students in my classes who have IEPs, who have 504s, and I'm finding in the district that I'm in that the parents don't come to the teachers. They go straight to the administration and they file complaints. And I literally got wrote up because they filed a complaint against me about not following their child's plan when it wasn't me. I hadn't even been given a plan.
The actually where it starts at is when the parent and teacher is supposed to meet before anything starts. And that's when a young child, no matter what age they are, when you start a kid with special ed, you have to test them first. And it's best to test them with a psychologist. And Medicaid, depends what your kid has, or sometimes private insurance will cover that. But if you identify a child at a younger age, you need to have that child tested first outside of the school, because sometimes the school may not be testing like a psychologist may test for all the in-depth stuff. So it falls on the parent first.
Right. So the other thing that I'm finding is because I started in the middle of the year, basically. And there were accommodations that were supposed to have been set up for children that they hadn't been getting because they had a sub. And subs can't get those. So it was like everything fell on me once I stepped into the role of the teacher. And I'm like, how was that falling on me? And I don't even have this information. I wasn't in the meetings. I didn't get any of this. So it was just to me, it was just kind of backwards.
Well, I'm going to say something like this. On the substitute teacher, when you fill in as a substitute teacher, especially, I don't know how long y'all substitute teachers stayed there, but if you're a long-term teacher, you are supposed to be privy to these IEPs and these accommodations to these children, because that is the way the substitute teacher, especially if they're long-term, they should be able to give that child plan, because that's how you work in the classroom, as well as send the homework home, or if you're doing visual or whatever. That substitute teacher still has the access as if she was that teacher, she was that teacher standing in there. Right. So that's a disservice to the substitutes.
Right. They should have that access. But what I found is that they were saying, oh, I wasn't given that. I didn't have to do that. Well,
yes, they are.
In the classroom.
A substitute teacher is supposed to do that, because I don't know how y'all district does it, but I know here in Port Arthur, a lot of the substitute teachers don't go straight through the school district anymore. They're hired through Kelly Service, and that is something that Kelly Service goes over in their tutorials when they hire you, that you still have to act as if you're the acting teacher.
Right. I got that. Yeah, because that's what I plan on doing, because I wrote my dissertation on training substitute teachers to be more effective in the classroom. So that's one of the things that I've been, looking at when going into these different districts and seeing how things are going. And I'm like, y'all not even following protocol. No. How is it that your subs are coming in here and they're not even trained to be able to take over the classroom?
Well, substitute teacher. I was a substitute teacher. I was a teacher's aide. I was a certified teacher, so I know the whole step of the system. So they're just not doing the job, and they're not satisfying the need of that child.
Right. That's true. And, and that was my problem. That was my complaint, because when I came in, it was all just thrown at me. Well, you have to do this. I have to do it. But if I don't have the information, how am I supposed to give them what they need if you haven't given me what I need to do what I need to do?
Yes. Well, first of all, if you came in the middle of the year, they were supposed to have a meeting. They were supposed to have a meeting with you, as well as each individual parent, They're supposed to reschedule what they call a reschedule, the IEP reevaluation, because you have a new person coming in. And so that way you can get yourself familiar with the child as well, get yourself familiar with the parent. That's the way it should have went.
Hello. Thank you. And that's all I'm saying. That's why I'm glad I got you on here, because when I say stuff, it's like, oh, she this, she that, and she, they making it seem like I don't want to comply. No, it's not that I don't want to comply. If there's a protocol that should have happened. So you can't come at me if if those meetings were never set up for me to be able to know who's on my caseload and who's in my classroom that I need to service. That doesn't fall on me first.
Yes, I'm saying it from the standpoint of a parent that had a child with special needs, as well as a bachelor's degree kinesiology special ed major. So I know both sides because I've had to deal with both sides in the system.
Right. I agree, because I have a minor in special ed. So, I understand the protocol. I understand the procedures. I understand how an art is supposed to go. I understand the steps and the procedures that need to be taken to get to that point. So it's not like I don't know what I'm doing, but when you go into a district and they're not in compliance and doing what they're supposed to do, you can't jump on a new teacher. Especially when I'm talking to parents and they say, well, I've been dealing with this ever since I got in this district. Then it's not me.
Yes, and then also to parents, if you're saying you have a kid with special needs or it's either 504, that parent itself is supposed to educate themselves on what's supposed to be going on. You can't just depend on the school by itself.
Oh, right.
That just don't work that way.
No, because you're not gonna get everything you need. That's why it's called parent rights. You need to know your rights. That's with anything. Know your rights whenever you with any situation.
Yeah, you're supposed to, but some parents are scared, and they these art meetings and these professionals scare these parents at time out. Well, you can't do this, you can't do that. Yes, you can, because I want and I'm going to say this on your live. I want a landmark case against a school district. I'm not going to say where it's from, and people that know me may know where I'm from and figure it out. But I set the precedence for every child coming after my child. He's 33 years old as of next month. And so you have to know your rules and regulations. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do in compliance, you have to start with the school first. Once you have the art meeting, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, and the diagnostician don't do what they're supposed to do, the special ed director don't do what they're supposed to do, then you go to the principal superintendent. From there, you could also go to the state that you're in, to the Department of Education that houses special ed, and you can have what they call a judge come in. And I had a sitting judge come in one summer. I took a teacher summer from them because they was not in compliance.
Okay.
And that case cost him $109,000. They changed attorneys twice. I changed attorneys one time. And she's from the Valley, and she knows her stuff because she is a special ed attorney. That is her specialty.
Okay. So we even know, we have a lot of cases that were precedents that were set. We have Plessy versus Ferguson. We had, separate but equal. All of these Brown versus the Board of Education. People need to understand that stuff didn't stop in the 60s. It didn't stop back then. We still have rights as parents to be able to set new precedents. That's the whole reason why we have rules and regulations and we have laws. Everything is not going to be the same. Things change over time. So we have to be able to stand up and be able to fight for our kids instead of just sitting back, taking it and thinking, oh, I can't do nothing else.
And that's the reason why No Child Left Behind came in existence, because of the old rules. It took so long to update some of the special ed rules, because you talk about a book that's thousands of pages long. So that's why No Child Left Behind came in to help implement with the special ed help.
Right. And that's what we have to understand. I tell people I used to teach social studies, and it's just like, well, why do we have so many amendments? Because rules change. Things change, and you have to set something different. That's why we have 26 amendments now, when we only started with what, 10?
12, so I think 10 or 12.
Right. We started with 10 or 12, and over time, you had to keep making amendments to amend something else that wasn't right, to make it fit everybody. So just because we have these laws for special education and these rules set, doesn't mean that is the end of everything. Because there's new cases, there's new people, there's new kids with new disabilities and things that are different that we have to be able to cater to.
Yes, so and people
speak up. We got to speak up.
Yeah, and parents also need to understand that special education is only catered under public school. It's not catered under private school. So you have to get that understanding. So if you decide you want to pull your child and put them in a private school, that private school does not have to honor those IEPs, because they don't do that. Because they're not
Oh,
getting
wow.
they're not getting the funding from the feds, so they're not going to do it.
You're right. You're right. And we have so many, they want to pull them out and homeschool them and send them somewhere else. They don't have to follow those rules.
No, they don't.
So you wonder why, when you pull your child out of a public school, put them into a charter school or a private school, and they come back and you wonder why they're worse, why they're not where they need to be, because they didn't have to adhere to those accommodations.
Yeah, they don't. They do not, because by law they're not obligated, because they're not getting that funding, which goes to let me find it. The FAPL I was telling you. Hold on, let me find it.
That's okay. Yeah, okay.
See the FAP, which is free appropriate public education. It says public education. It didn't say charter school. It didn't say private school. It said public school.
Right. And parents need to understand that you give your child, you serve your child a disservice when you snatch them out of a public school and you go run and put them in a private school or a charter school or something that you think is going to be better, and they don't get the services that they need. You serve your child a disservice by doing that. And there's so many times I've seen over the years that I've been teaching, parents who know that their kids need help, and when it comes time for the art or for them to be tested to see if they can get special assistance, they pull the kids out and put them in and take them to a different school. Parents need to understand that's making it worse for the kids, because it's taking them longer to be able to get the assistance that they're gonna need to get better.
Yeah, and then sometimes too, you keep pulling the school because you're in denial. You can't be in denial. What people have to understand, what special ed comes from. Yes, it does come from a DNA change in the body, but it also comes from you feeding these kids sugar, these frosted flakes, and all this other stuff with sugar on it. That also causes disability. If people didn't know that, you need to research, because whatever you put into your body is what you're gonna get out that body.
Right. Yeah. That's true. We have to talk about that. That's why they came out with the obesity act or law or whatever, where they had First Lady Obama came up with, with the fitness. Everybody had to have the physical fitness and exercise. So to get rid of the obesity in America, because all of our kids are just obese because they sitting up eating McDonald's and fast food and all kinds of other stuff. And, they got the healthy choice foods coming into the cafeterias now. The kids don't want to eat that. They still bringing in their own lunches. Parents sending Twinkies and all kinds of other stuff that's not healthy for the kids. And you giving them serving them a disservice, because you don't want to adhere to the laws that's been put in place. Yeah,
and then also physical education. I have a degree in kinesiology, which is physical education. They have cut PE down. You remember when we were growing up, we was going 5 days a week. Now they went down to 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or some kids go Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
So the adaptive behavior kids that really need it, like for their strengthening and stuff like that, they're not getting the service that they really need.
Right. And the movement, because, you have recess every day, but, in our building, the kids are always so loud, they halfway get to go outside for recess, because y'all won't get quiet and do what y'all need to do to get outside.
Yeah. And they have so much activity. Yeah. And what they did now, that the disservice that when I was in teaching, that they've taken from the children, physical education was taken away to teach the was tax test, whatever that test was, the state test that they were taking. So they took that time, because if you fail certain portions of that test, even as a special ed child, a special needs child, they took your physical education from you to teach you the test that day. What we do that at?
Wow.
That kid can't sit in class 8 hours a day and then just get a break for lunch. No.
Right. They can't. And that's the sad part, and then they have, I was in a district one time where they took away their specials. Well, the kids stayed in the classroom all day. They didn't get to move. The only time they moved was to go to lunch and then to go to recess. And
you can't do that. You can't do that. Music for special needs kids. And I'm ADHD. I'm 52 years old. I didn't get diagnosed. I knew I was kind of something when I was younger was wrong with me. My mother used to whip me all the time, but I didn't get diagnosed. 25. I was in the United States Navy, And I just could never stay on task. And so I had a captain send me to a psychologist, and that's when we found out I was ADHD. But I had to learn to adapt all those times with my mother because she was just whipping me. She said because I was a bad kid. I wasn't a bad kid. I just had some things that just couldn't function correctly. I never could stay on task. And then I passed it on down to my oldest son, and Mr. Middle son, and the youngest son is ADHD.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, they say that we all have, you know, as African Americans and Black people, we all are hypertension. We have hypertension. Yes. We all do. And I even said it about myself. I'm like, had I known back then what I know now, they probably would have tried to put me on Ritalin because I was a little firecracker. Yes. I was always getting around doing something. I was always getting into something, but I was very curious. I was very, you know, wanting to know. So I was always doing something. But then when it got to the point where, you know, you get shut down, where you can't do this, you can't do that, then, you know, I just sat there and stopped doing anything. But that's what we have a disservice. You know, back when I was growing up, our parents didn't know anything about no rights as parents and how to advocate for your students. We didn't have all of that. So, you know, now we know more and we need to be doing more. And it's just sad that some of our kids don't get what they need because the parents won't open their mouth. Yeah, because I mean, you have to stand up for your child because that's why they gave them a title as a child. They're children. Right. They can't do adult stuff. And some parents are putting these kids in this situation when they're getting maybe I think they're 15, 16. They get to a certain age in high school. Now the parents say, well, they're 17, 18, they can make their own decisions. No, under special ed law, I carried paperwork on my son till he was 24 years old. And I had to have it notarized by an attorney saying I was his guardian. If you wanted to go to college, that's something else that you can get done. It's paperwork that you can fill out that where you could follow your child to the age of 24 legally by law. Okay. Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. I know in Illinois, I think it was, you know, they said it was 21. A kid could stay in school, you know, and be considered a child until 21 if they had a special needs. But I didn't know it was 24. Yeah, it's 24. That's good to know. It's a paper. I could find my son's paper and I can email it to you and let you get a copy of it. But you can't. And it was done through the parent advocate that I had out of Austin, Texas. And so she was the one told me about it because I didn't know anything about it. And like I said, she's also a special ed attorney. So I don't know if it's a state by state case. Okay. But because of these children, once they get a certain age after 18 years old, they are still needing guardianship till at least, you know, like I said, I'm gonna use for example, insurance. Guys are not dropped up to 25. So that's the magic age, 25. So you have to have that paperwork in place until they go to college, because if some special needs kids go to college, those IEPs will follow you to college. But if you don't have that paperwork in place as a parent, you don't have that privy to go talk to the school about your child's grades. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's why that paperwork is in place. Right. I'm trying to figure out how I can put us both on the screen together. It's not letting me be great today. Let me see. Do I have to share my screen with you? No, you popping up on the screen. I just wanted to have a way that I can put us both on the screen at the same time. That's not doing it. Let me see. I thought it was in like the settings. Okay, I'm gonna have to play around with it some more because I can see both of us on mine, but I can't see it. What about now? On the live. No, I can see both of us on mine, but I can't see both of us on the live. But that's okay. Okay. We're doing good. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this so much. Learning some stuff because we need to make sure that people know that they have rights because they don't. And you can also Google online. There's too many to read, but I found it's 35 common acronyms that's used in special ed. And I can go over a few of them, but the parents need to pull these acronyms up to understand what you're looking at in the IEPs and the FAPE. The ADA stands for American with Disabilities Acts, and that also covers children as well as adults. ADD, which is attention deficit order, that means that you don't have the hyperactivity like the ADHD. Okay. And you have also the ID, which is Individual with Disability Education Act. That is an act that a parent needs to know. That's an important act that you need to know. The IEP, which stands for Individual Education Plan, you need to know that also.
Also, you need to know the LRE, which is least resistive environment. When they say least resistive environment, that means you can't take Tommy, because Tommy cutting up that day, you gonna put him in a corner by himself. No, he still
Okay.
has to be with those children, because that's how he mimicked the behavior of those children. So quote normal. But if you throw him
Right.
in a corner, he gonna do the nutty fruit cake in the class, because he by himself. You've isolated that child.
Yes, right. That part. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people don't understand what the least restrictive environment means. They think,
Yeah.
oh, well, if he cutting up, then I can pull him out. No, the least restrictive environment is wherever he is to get the
Yes.
education he needs at the same level as kids
Yes.
his age, without being a harm to those kids. So if he's
Yes.
not harming anybody, then no, we don't just move them out, but we have so many people who do that to kids and feel
Yes.
like, oh, they can't function in here, so I'm just going to have them pulled out and let them go somewhere else. Well, are they still learning wherever you send them? And
No, they not.
parents need to know what's going on. Talk to your kids when they get home.
Yes.
If you got pulled out, if they had somebody come get you and remove you from the classroom, where did you go? What did you do? Did you still get your work? Did you still get instruction?
Yes.
Because that's something we're supposed to still do. When we think about that, when we
Mhm.
pull them kids, where are you taking them? You can't just sit them in a room.
No, you can't do that. And then also too, uh NCLB stands for No Child Left Behind. That is another law that y'all need to look, because that's a very it's a, I think came out maybe 2002, if so, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2002. That is a new term that people need to learn, because that's also in your IEPs. And then also you have let me see what else terms we've used a couple of times. The BIP, the behavior intervention plan. The behavior
Yes.
intervention plan, people need to understand what that is. The behavior
Yeah.
intervention plan is when, say, okay, we didn't exhausted every source that the Tommy just can't get on track at all. So we're gonna do a step by step by step. So say if Tommy does do good today on step 1, we're gonna give him this privilege. He does good today on this day 2, we give him this privilege, and it keeps building. Basically, what the BIP is an incentive to help that kid function in class, instead of you just send them to the office, and then you're
Right.
outing them out and send them to behavior, what they call it, PAC. We call it PAC here. Adaptive behavior school. Yeah,
Okay.
intervention school. What you put them out there for? You put them out there with these other kids that just don't want to do nothing with life. So you intermingling them with kids that don't want to be bothered, as well as being over there, and then you already struggling with your work because you're in special needs. So you're
Right.
doing that kid a disservice either way.
Yeah. Because now he's getting a different learned behavior. Instead
Yes.
of learning how to act right, he's learning how to continue with the bad behavior. And people
Yes.
don't seem to understand that. And I have a problem with classrooms that have all the special needs students in them. They may not be labeled that way, but you know that these students are all struggling. Why would you put 20 kids that are all struggling at the same level in one classroom? What do they have to aspire to? What do they have to? They shouldn't. What do they have to aspire to? What do they have to strive for if the one next to them not doing any better than them? How they go themselves up? How are they learning from their peers to be able to bring themselves up? But those are things that I hate to see when they talk about this homogeneous grouping and heterogeneous grouping.
Yes.
No, kids need to be with somebody who's above them, below them, on their level, in order for them to get a better understanding as to where they need to go and what they need to do. You can't have everybody on the same level doing the same thing, struggling the same way. How am I help you?
But that's why also too, that's why they implemented let me see, my son 33 years old, so it's been implemented, I think maybe, let me see, he finished school in 2008, so maybe about 2002, somewhere around there. He may have been an eighth grade or freshman. That's when they did the buddy. Remember the buddy system and the peer to peer, where they had like a special needs student and a student that was on level. Their partner, their buddy them together.
Oh yeah, I remember all of that.
Yeah.
I remember
And so
all
the
of that.
ratio,
They don't do that anymore now either.
so the ratio in the class, well, they should be, because that's not fair if that school is getting that money for those children. And then what I was finding out too is the school was making sure the kids get there by 10 o'clock so they get paid $500.
Oh yeah,
And what you
that's
did
when
after that,
attendance
they
has to
didn't
be
care.
taken. They have to have that count. Yeah,
Oh, yes, ma'am.
you're right. They have to have that count. And you know, it's so funny. I've noticed that even here,
Yeah.
I didn't notice in other districts that I worked in, but here in Texas, I've noticed that in the classrooms that they have a buzzer that goes off at 10 o'clock that attendance has to be taken by this time. And if
Oh,
you
yes.
don't take it, they call,
Oh, yes, they do.
because that's that report time. They have to have that report done. And they
Yeah.
could care less. You know, I've noticed that they don't care what time you get to school. They don't care if you're there after that, after you take attendance. They could care less. You could skip school and wouldn't nobody even know it. I taught
Yep.
middle school.
Yep.
As long as
Mhm.
those kids came in during that second period when we had to
Yes.
take attendance, we couldn't
Yes.
mark them absent.
No, you
We
can't.
could not mark them absent as long as they came in. We couldn't mark them tardy because it was a bad reflection on the
Yes, it was.
attendance if we marked
Yeah.
them tardy for that period.
Yeah. And
So
then
as long
also
as
too,
they came in,
yeah. And then also
yep.
attendance for special ed, that determines the fiscal budget.
Mm-hmm. So
So
it's just
yeah, it's crazy how they do it, because I was like, y'all basing, because such and such didn't get to school, and then, oh, that's the other rule. Even if you are a special needs kid, you still are under the 10-day rule. They're supposed to
mhm.
be, but that's not true, because of those IEPs, you can put that in there that they cannot, after 10 days, send you to court. If it's in the IEPs, I had to put in my son IEPs, because sometimes
Oh
he would
yeah.
skip school a lot, and I would know where he was half of the time. He would stay there till 10 o'clock and disappear sometimes. But I had that put in his IEPs that if he missed school, it's your responsibility, because once he left home, he became yours, not mine.
See, and people need to understand that, because right now
Yes.
they came in and talked to our students that we're talking about now, that your 10 law that they have here in Texas.
Yes.
And they were letting them know that when you get in trouble at school, when you leave school, the school is still responsible for you until you get home. So
Yes, they
like you
are.
said, that goes both ways. So once I send them to school, you're responsible for them.
Yeah.
If they don't get there, that's on you.
Yeah.
But they want to put that on the parents, you know, because and saying, oh, your parents, you're not a good parent because they're truant, because they're not here. But it's your responsibility to know that once they on their way to school, and I've sent them on their way to school, they are now a part of the school property. Because if they get in trouble on
Yes.
their way to school, the school gonna deal with that.
Yes. And what students
They
need
don't
to
tell
also,
you that.
yeah, and what students also need to know, even if you're not a special needs student, if you get in a fight off of campus at any facility, the school can kick you off of any activity.
Yep,
So
that's so true.
even if you put in the IEPs, I found out, even if you put in IEP for special needs student, they get somewhere else, that rule still applies to them too. They're not exempt.
Right. And we have to stop thinking, you know, and parents use that sometimes as a crutch for their
Yes.
students. Oh, well, my son, my daughter, they got an IEP. Oh, they special ed. Or, you know, you want to use it when you feel like it's going to benefit you. But when other stuff come up, you don't want to use it. You want to make it seem like they you know, they're supposed to have every right as everybody else. And ain't nothing wrong with my child until it comes to a point where they're about to get in trouble. Now, all of a sudden, you know, they special ed, they special needs, but you can't play that game both sides of the fence.
No,
You got
and then and then also too, you have to train those children to come off of those IEPs, because my son is 30, he'll be 33 next month, and he's doing very well for himself. He's doing very well. He's changed jobs a couple of times, but he finally got it together.
Hey, you got something that ain't on the IEP that's in change jobs a couple of times. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Find what works for you.
Yeah, but he found out that the world didn't care about his special needs. They wanted him to either get it, or you go to jail, or you fail. You got three choices.
That's it. You know, but we have so many people who use that as a crutch for their kids, and they make them dependent on those labels. And I have to tell them, when you get out in the real world, baby, they're not gonna care about no label for you. You either do what you're supposed to do, or you're gonna be gone. They could care less about a label. And they was like, oh, well, you talk too hard. They still babies. They still we need to start weaning them off. No. We need to stop pampering the kids and teaching them how to be codependent on stuff.
Yep. And then if people didn't know, it didn't matter. It doesn't matter if you, because I mean, we're talking about school, so we're talking about kids in general too. If you didn't know, if go look at the history, if you are a third grader, male, you are already labeled for the school to prison pipeline, which is you are already doomed for prison in the third grade. So for every third grader this year, they keep building prisons based on the number of third graders we have. And that's how we get these prisons built all over the country. If people didn't know that.
And we have more prisons, than we have colleges.
Yes, we do.
Because that's where they plan on us being. And I've been saying that to people for the longest. By third grade is when they start targeting our young Black and brown students.
Yes.
Third grade, our males, is when they start getting targeted. Yes. I remember when my son made it into the third grade, and they sent paperwork home to his stepmom to fill out paperwork on him for his behavior, to get him tested. I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with my child. Y'all just trying to start that paper trail. Now that he's in third grade, and we're not having it. But parents don't see that either. They don't get it. They don't understand when your child is a behavior and you don't tame that at home, by the time they get in third grade, they already have a paper trail for your child.
Yeah, and like I said, sometimes it can be special needs, but like I still say, it goes back to the food that you input in these children. Mm-hmm. And children sit down. I mean, the pandemic proved that kids were sitting in the house, not doing anything, so they were getting bored. And so now you have kids going back to school. They don't know what to do with themselves because they're so used to being cooped up for almost 2 years.
Yep, and doing nothing.
And they're behind, especially the kids that the pandemic. You actually for every year you're behind, for every year you're behind in school is actually 2 years.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they're even worse than that, because when you look at the curriculum, every curriculum is 2 grades ahead. So if you're in 4th grade, you're really working at a 6th grade curriculum. So if you're 2 years behind, you in 2nd grade working on a 6th grade curriculum that you do not understand.
Yes. And they've changed the math, talking about stepped up, step down. I say, what you mean step up, step down? What is that? We need to have some regular math.
I still don't understand what they're doing with this new math. I'm like, look, give me the old school math and let me go.
Yeah, because I mean, the special needs kids are getting lost behind with that. Because I tutor a lot of children within my community, and they looking at me and I say, I don't know how to do that. Let's get the stick men on the sheet of paper, because I don't understand. And you tell your teachers, I said I don't understand it, and I'm a certified teacher.
Right. Hello. Certified. I got a doctorate and I still don't understand how they do some of this math that they do. And I'm like, why can't y'all just do it this way? The kids don't even know how to borrow anymore. I remember back in the day, they taught you how to borrow the 10 from the other place and take away. They don't know how to do that now.
No, they don't know how to do that.
Know how to borrow. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, that was the basis for math when I was growing up.
Yeah.
All of that stuff, you don't understand that addition and multiplication are basically the same thing. Yeah. They really are when you look at it. But y'all teach it in isolation to the point where the kids are confused when they move from one to the other.
Yeah, and then what a lot of times two people don't know that reading and mathematics go hand in hand with each other.
It all goes
if you can't read, you can't do math. If you can't do math, you can't read. They both go hand in hand with each other.
Yeah, because you have that right brain side. The math is the right side of the brain, and if you're not working it, it's not going to work with the left side. So you have to be able to know those symbols and those angles and all of that stuff, and then you want them to read what is it? A word problem? They can't read it.
No.
You ask them to write out a response for math. They can't do that.
No.
Why? Because writing out of the school.
Yeah. And they took handwriting out of school. You don't have handwriting anymore. So some kids, special needs kids, don't even know how to form letters. So how can you, if you don't know how to form letters, so how can you pronounce the words correctly?
Right. And how can you write? And now they're putting writing back on the STAR test, and these kids don't know how to write. It's a
Yeah,
problem.
and in my opinion about the STAR test, you don't want my opinion on there on recording. I'm gonna just tell you, you need to go to the trash can because somebody making some money off of the kids. Somebody's making money off these kids. You need to teach these kids how to function in society because that STAR test ain't gonna make them help in society. They're not gonna
Nope,
get
it's
that STAR test. No.
That's why I say, I don't put a whole lot of stock in standardized tests. I don't like them. Personally,
No.
I don't like them because I can't take them. Why? Because my dyslexia and my learning disability,
Yes.
I don't take multiple choice tests well. I don't. We talked about that.
Yes.
I don't take those tests well. And guess what? My kids don't either. So I understand how they feel. I understand where they're coming from. And I'm like, do away with it. Let my work that I'm doing in my classroom show and prove that I know what I'm doing. Well, what you're telling me to do on this test, I know how to do. I do it every day, but because I can't pick it out of a scenario that you created, now all of a sudden I don't know what I'm doing and I'm not an effective teacher. Come on.
Yeah. And then also too, I see I never hear the special ed teachers talk about STEM. Why is STEM not part of special ed?
Hello. It should be. We isolate. That's not the least restrictive environment. We're isolating.
Yeah. So STEM needs to be across the board with no matter what level you're on, because just because those children are you got a lot of people that's high functioning.
Yes.
So they could be engineers, but they may just need that extra help. They could be scientists. They may need that extra help.
Yeah. And you got some of them that'll probably run circles around the ones that y'all say are GT. Give them the opportunity.
Yes. But you don't.
They
You go stick them in
a chance.
Yeah, you go stick him in the corner. We don't want to be bothering. He got problems today. Okay, well, find out what problem that kid had today, because you never know. His mama might have been at the club last night and he ain't getting nothing done. So what he's supposed to do, he might be at home taking care of them little kids, and he's a special needs kid taking care of the kids.
Right, and he don't know what he's doing.
No, because he's a child.
He got some energy. Yeah. So, there's a lot of things that we don't take into consideration. A lot of things, parents are dealing with their kids. You got parents who are ill, who kids are taking care of their ill parents. I'll never forget one time I had a little boy tell me he cried when I was in ISD. He cried and I was like, baby, what's wrong? And he was like, my mom has cancer and I've been taking care of her. She's been at the hospital. And I'm like, wow, these kids deal with a lot more stuff than we ever had to deal with when we were growing. A whole lot more. So, we have to, when it says you have to be able to engulf yourself into your students, find out what it is that they're doing, what's going on with them, get into their community. I do that all the time. But just because I don't put that on a test, I can't figure out what you want to do on the test. I know how to engage with my students. I know how to let my students know that I care about them. I know how to let my students know that I'm here for you.
Yes. And then also the children too, because I think it's third grade they start doing the IEPs. These children, the parents need to sit down at home with them and explain to them what the IEPs mean. They don't know what that is, that paperwork that's on there.
Nope.
I mean, instead of dosing these kids up with this Ritalin and stuff, and what people don't know, Ritalin messes with your kidneys. Yes.
And it sets you up for other drugs too, because once
you
need that to control you, you're gonna need a different substance because that's gonna wear off and you're gonna be immune to that.
Yeah. So people don't understand. Yeah, people don't understand. You gotta understand, whatever you put in your body is what the organs in your body feed for.
And once your organs and stuff get immune to something and it's not working anymore, it's gonna want something more. And that's just the way the body is designed. It's
Uh-oh. Did you freeze? Hold on. Let's see. Did she freeze? Uh-oh, I'm still on. Did she drop off? What happened?
Okay. Hello, girl. I don't know. I just cut off.
I'm still here. I'm still here in the live talking. I said, well, y'all, I guess you'll be back in a few minutes.
Yeah, it just went off. I'm like, what is going on? Because I know I had it set, but I'm like, oh, what time did I set it? So yeah, I'm still here. I'm like, okay, but yeah, I just want to thank you for coming and, to let parents know some things that they need to do. And I hopefully they'll go back and listen to this, watch it, and write down some of those acronyms and some of those names and do some more research on what they need to do to be better advocates for their students. Because I just want all students to succeed, and to make sure that they're getting what they need, and just to make sure that we don't just keep our kids in special ed and keep them on IEPs, that we should be working towards weaning them off of that. Not for them to stay there forever unless they absolutely need it. But some people, do it for the wrong reasons. But we just want to make sure that we do the best for our kids and not just leave them strapped in special ed.
And if they want to try to find me, I didn't put my last name is not on there. My name is Felicia Alexander -Branch. You can get me on Instagram, Facebook. Send me a message in Messenger. I'll be glad to help you with the knowledge that I have. Like I said, with the experience with my, as well as my son and me being a teacher. So, I don't shun people. I try to help you. I can't, even if you're in a different state, I try to match you with somebody that's in a parent partnering position or something in that state, so I can get you some help, because, these are the children got to take care of us when we get older. So I want them to be how they're supposed to be in compliance.
Right. All right. So if you want to, go ahead and put your stuff in the chat, your contact information in the chat. Can you hear me?
Back, your volume was going out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there you go.
I was like, oh, I wasn't muted. Okay, yeah. So go ahead if you want to put your information in the chat, so anybody who watches this later can actually see it, and it'll be there for them. And actually, you said it. If you can say it again, because I'm also going to put it on my recorded podcast, so they can actually listen to it, so they can hear it as well.
Okay, my name is Felicia Alexander. It's Felicia. Last name is Alexander, Alexander. Last name is Branch, also on the end of it. And I'm in Port Arthur, Texas. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Also, you may find me on the Dependable Angel Services, if you can remember that, on all social media.
He's got your text message. All right, cool beans. So I hope y'all got that. If y'all need to, parents, if you need an advocate, reach out to Miss Felicia. She is more than capable and knowledgeable to be able to help you with anything you need to, as far as parent advocacy and getting help that you need for your children who are 504s, IEPs, or whatever, to let you know that you do have rights. So just reach out to her and get some assistance, or you can reach out to me and let me know what your needs are, and I can try to reach out to her for you. So again, I thank you all for joining me here on Teacher Talk Tuesday. I'm excited about this, and I thank you. We're going to be welcome doing
anytime.
So those of you who are here, thank you so very much. And it was nice talking to y'all. All right. So I'm your girl, Dr. Yvonne, the teacher that talks, Teacher Talk Tuesday, and it's been real. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed Teacher Talk Tuesdays with Dr. Yvonne. Tune in next time for more incredible stories, struggles, and triumphs.